Welcome in, everybody. Chris Landry here, and we've got another edition of Scout's Eye on Pro Football. That's right, breaking down the world of the NFL right here weekly with you. Good to be with you, and as we always say, lots to get to today. We've got a lot of things that we hope to cover today. As we always do, we like to take you through each and every game and kind of go through what's happened and kind of start with the Monday night game and kind of work our way back as to what's happened. You take a look at things around the league, and we're starting to learn a little bit more. I don't know that we are learning more than we thought, but we're starting to get a good feel for it. At least I am on how things are looking. Dallas is looking very good, playing very well. We'll see how well things sustain with them, but very impressed with how they continue to play. I know Carolina was shorthanded. Dallas is played very well. The quarterback's playing well. We're going to get into that, and as well as everyone going get some overviews. But a reminder of a couple of things I always like to do at the top. Make sure that you sign up for LandryFootball.com to get all the detailed film room analysis, the previews and the reviews over at LandryFootball.com. It's where we have it for you. So take advantage of the football season sale. Try it out for a month, whatever, but give it a go. Also, a reminder to check out and sign up for Landry Football Conference Call, where you can listen to this podcast. And we need this for the analytics. So if you are getting it somewhere else, just if you would sign up for that, we'd sure appreciate it. It affects how our numbers look and what we're able to do to talk to potential advertisers. So please do that if you would. And then, of course, if you're listening to this podcast, make sure if you can't join us in the chat room by watching the show live, as we do the show live every Tuesday at 4 p.m. Central Time on Twitch TV. How do you get to Twitch TV? Very simple. Go to LandryFootball.com and click on follow Chris on Twitch. Join us in the chat room. Ask your questions and your comments like our friend Kev Belargo has joined us to do today. Kev, how are you, my friend? Good to have you with us. And we're, as I mentioned, we've learned a lot. We know that it's, I thought it was a very good game on Monday night. I thought the Chargers played very well. We're going to get into to that situation and what's going on there. The Chargers are a really good team. I thought underachieved last year. Are they on to something special? Defeated the Raiders, the last team other than the Cardinals to be unbeaten. That's a story in and of itself. I mentioned Dallas is looking good. The Cardinals are playing outstanding ball. Over in the AFC West, it's very competitive, and that the Chargers are good. I think the Broncos will settle in and be a good team, but will not be the contender that maybe people might think. I do like the Chargers and the Chiefs still. Chiefs have got to cut down on their mistakes. We see that. But a couple of things that kind of are jumping off, just get to the top. Dallas is very good. The Cardinals are playing very well. Still kind of figuring out, as I go back and look at my film grade notes, Buffalo's playing so good now. That first week against the Steelers was not an indication of where things are going. The Browns are steady as she goes. Not overly impressed with how they're playing, though. Saints, what a stinker of a game against the Giants. Same thing with the Titans, as both the New York teams get on board with a win. San Francisco now starting Trey Lance quicker than they thought. By the way, the latest news and notes around the NFL is that Jimmy Garoppolo's injury is not that significant. So, good news there. Some other news around the league real quick. Josh Gordon has been promoted to the practice squad in Kansas City. Ben Roethlisberger has been dealing with hip issues, so I know he's not played well. but I wonder if that's a part of it. I'll go ahead and answer now because I see we got a question in the chat room about Urban Meyer. Rich Coates are good friends. Thoughts on Urban Meyer's situation, possibly him getting fired with cause? Well, first of all, I'm not going to speak to the legalities of it. Rich, this is really not college. The fire with cause things doesn't really apply here. In the NFL, they usually pay those guys off. It's kind of your own risk type of thing. Now, look, I don't. There could be some issues there, but they usually just write the checks and just let them go bye-bye. That's money's not the issue there. Although I get it. I get where you're going at it. I got it in my notebook today, so you can check out at Landry Football in more detail. But the things that probably are more concerning is, well, obviously the look, and it was pretty bad. Regardless of what you think in terms of fidelity and acting properly, I do think that when you are in a position that is such of being, to me, an employee in any NFL organization, head coach or otherwise, or school, I think there's a certain way you want to conduct yourself. And certainly understand that everywhere you go today, you're on a cell phone. I mean, you're on a cell phone video. It's inexcusable to deal with that. I think the issue leads into something that is also concerning. Is it's very unusual. I don't know. Maybe it's happened in unusual circumstances, but for a NFL head coach to not go back with his team is highly unusual. I get it. For people who don't know, Urban still has he's not only got a bar and a restaurant right in that Dublin area, he's got a home there, and the game was in Cincinnati. So he just stayed there on what we call a mini bye when you play on Thursday. So it's that's kind of how that happened. It is still unusual to not go back with your team. Two, what I would say is, and I say this a lot about players, and I think it's only fair to say this about a coach, because I think it's for a coach and a front office executive, it even more important that there's a high level of accountability. What I've sensed, and I've known Urban Meyer, I've told the story, I've known Urban Meyer since he was a graduate assistant. I was a coach at LSU. We played Earl Bruce's Ohio State Buckeyes 1 year in Baton Rouge and 1 year in Columbus in a home and home. And there was this young coach that came over and pregame before we're, really getting ready to kind of put our team through some walkthroughs. And he came, introduced himself, and asked if he could call and get some coaching advice and whatever. Gave me his card. It was a young Urban Meyer. He's an assistant on that staff. And I've always been impressed with how he has been very energetic and very motivated as a coach. I will say that as he's kind of grown and developed in his career, the one thing, and this is not alone with a lot of coaches today, so it is a lesson. There's maybe a sense of entitlement. Once you are successful and you become a college coach, you become a celebrity, which these guys are. There's a sense of you can do things and it not be noticed. You have to be almost, I don't know the clinical term, but so much in your eyes on a pedestal that stuff can't happen to me. And we tell players this all the time. It can happen to you, and it will happen to you if you do it often enough and put yourself in that situation. In this situation, it's embarrassing. Um, why has he done things? Look, in a college town, he certainly was involved in issues in Florida. Everybody in the media and the fan base took up for Urban until he left and, in their eyes, left them in bad situation. Then they criticized. But while he was there, he was king, and God forbid anybody that would question the great Urban Meyer. He goes to Ohio State and the whole Zach Smith situation, and everyone over there tried to defend him. And in some cases, they still do. But that was a different issue, but an issue. You don't really get away with that in the NFL. You don't really get the sympathy. The local media will come hard on you and, quite frankly, attack you in a way that you won't get. And I think the fan base does that and doesn't defend their own guy. In fact, they're more inclined to want to dump a guy than anything. In the end, it was stupid. It was not naive. I think it was almost narcissistic to think that, hey, look, it's all about me, and it's not going to happen to me. And clear, he had a few pops. We know that. Beyond that, goes back to Jacksonville. And I'm told he canceled the team meeting on Monday. And, I think those are the things that there's an accountability. You teach your players. You tell your players, don't put yourself in a difficult position, in a spot. And you do that, it's really hard. He's lost a lot of respect in that locker room. I don't know that things have gone all that well in the locker room to begin with. This makes it worse. The owner is, needless to say, very upset. And I think when you say things publicly, which Shad Khan said, his conduct last week was inexcusable. I think when you say that publicly, you're publicly reprimanding your guy. I think that there's much stronger language behind the scenes, and in a way to kind of say that there's a credibility issue. I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, people are going to speculate he's on the way out the door, and he's this, and they're ready to fire him, and they've had meetings behind it. Yeah, sure, all those things took place. It's not really news. It's just kind of a general, quote-unquote, speculation. What does it really mean? I don't know. I think it depends. Does he lose the team? Does the team not respond? We know they're not going to win. They're not very good. But what are the immediate repercussions of how this team responds? And I got to say, it's all the things that I've talked with Urban about in the past about the NFL's a grind. It's a different grind than college. You got the recruiting grind, and you got the 3 or 4 games that you have to really get ready to win. In the NFL, I don't ever say you get used to losing, but boy, you will lose games. In his case, he's going to lose a ton. And he's seemingly already had in his hands look with every loss. I don't know that where this is going to go. So that's the story on him, and I don't know. I don't have anything to add at this point about that. In terms of some other news and notes, check out everything over at LandryFootball.com for all the latest, as we've got it for you right there. Some other thoughts that I was kind of getting into. What a great game. All the hype of Tampa, New England What a great game that turned out to be. An exciting game. And as I mentioned last night, I thought it was really good performance by the Chargers in the Raiders. Still got my mind on Thursday night in Jacksonville and Cincinnati was actually a really good game for teams that played pretty well. And even though they're not very good, and Cincinnati's playing better, thought Jacksonville played well, played hard. There was some positives before this weekend took place, but that's kind of the latest going on there. I'm going to get to encourage you to bring your questions. I see a number of you have. I want to make sure that I don't miss any of the details on what's going on around the NFL. The news and notes we'll have for you over at Landry Football. Let's get to some of the discussions around the league as I want to kind of talk a little bit about some of the teams and exactly what's going on there. Some of your questions. Talked about Urban Meyer. We got that. What's wrong with the Washington football defense? They are not playing well. It's really surprising. They've got a lot of talent up front, but they're not really playing well on their second or third levels. And it's been an unimpressive group. Why is Miles Sanders being phased out in Philadelphia? He's not run hard. He's not run well. It's the biggest reason that they're phasing him out. Rich Coach, as of the 4 games from a sample size, which rookie quarterback has been impressive so far? Oh, it's no doubt it's Mac Jones. He is by far playing the best. It's not even close. I mean, Zach Wilson did some good things last week, but he's on a bad team and he's really struggled and he's still trying to figure things out. Justin Fields is just, lost trying to figure things out and making some plays athletically. Trey Lance hasn't really played. Now he's going to play. Garoppolo, as I mentioned, it's not going to be out very long, but we're going to see him play a little bit. There's one guy in Mac Jones that's playing well. The other 3 are trying to figure it out. So there is no which ones. There's just one. I hope in the offseason that the rules committee confronts, this is Kev Belargo says, confronts forward progress and fumbling. Dalton Schultz clearly fumbled before forward progress was ever established. Listen, I think it's tough, and my thoughts on it. Those are the type of things that you're going to have a hard time seeing in real time, and that to me is where replay in real time can figure that out. Rich has got some. What was my thought of past guys? We'll get to that, Rich, and on towards the end of the show. We'll want to keep it a little bit more topical on topic there. Let's take a look of what took place this past week, and I want to go to Monday night. It was the Raiders dug themselves a hole early, and it was Justin Herbert was really sound. Thought he did a really good job. Kind of my breakdown to my look at is I thought Justin played very well. I think he's got a lot of poise. I think he's got really good vision. I think he really comes off receivers well. He understands coverage. He's a bright guy. He's a good study. The talk about him not being, a gym rat, he certainly is. Every bit of that. The Chargers' offensive line is probably the biggest improvement I'm seeing. Yeah, Herbert's improving, but the offensive line bullied the Raiders up front. It was a really good performance in the run game. I thought Austin Eckler was outstanding. Roundtree didn't have the same type of success. He's not as explosive of a back. But that offensive line is really allowing the Chargers to have a lot of success here. None of the Chargers pass catchers dominated, despite going against an injury-prone Raiders secondary or an injured Raiders secondary. Jared Cook, who's been known to play well for stretches and have a lot of drops throughout his career with the Raiders, with the Saints, played pretty well last night. Rashawn Slater talking about rookies, people ask about rookie quarterbacks. In terms of rookie players, Rashawn Slater has been outstanding. He's been really, really good. Obuche at guard also graded out pretty well as well. Filer, Lindsey, good group there. Joey Bosa had a field day against Leatherwood. He's outstanding. I thought Fackrell, Joseph, and Covington graded out well, played well. White and Tranquil played well at linebacker. Derwin James, he gave up the long reception to Henry Ruggs in the second half, but he's been really effective. For the Raiders, the offense started with 3 straight 3-and-outs. Carr, couldn't overcome a sluggish start, but I thought did some good things. Overall, Josh Jacobs came back, played very well. I thought that Hunter Renfrow was really good on special teams, and certainly the red zone play. Good job there. Offensive line, but Colton Miller's the only one playing really well. Leatherwood struggling in pass protection, which is something that we knew was going to happen. Max Crosby is really the only guy that you trust consistently on the defensive line for the Raiders. The linebackers were picked apart in coverage. Perryman and Littleton struggled. Mullen and Arnett suffered injuries, so they were very young up on the back end and were troublesome there. So really good performance. The Raiders, I think, are a good team. I think that'll level off, and I still think in the end it'll be Chargers, Chiefs in some order as we go down the stretch. We'll see. And but I think all 4 of those teams are competitive, and the West looks really good in the AFC, just like it does in the NFC. Tampa and New England, as I mentioned, had a really good game. It wasn't like, I got to tell you, and looking at the tape, Mac Jones outplayed Tom Brady. I know that's just, hey, not saying anything other than he actually did a better job overall than Tom Brady did, which, again, doesn't mean anything other than just that, folks. He graded out very well. Brady was efficient. He did what he needed to do, but he wasn't the difference maker in this game. He wasn't as good as he will be, I think, as the season goes along. I thought Fournette was efficient, ran it pretty well. I thought Antonio Brown was good, targeted effectively. I thought the offensive line did a good job giving Brady time to make plays. Ali Marpet did a really good job. I thought Donovan Smith struggled some in pass pro, but for the most part, very good group. Shaq Barrett's a really good fit for what Todd Bowles likes to do in their blitz pressure. Joe Tryon came up a couple of big plays. Devin White had 4 pressures on 11 blitzes, did a really good job. The secondary had some problems due to injuries. Antoine Winfield made some plays. For New England, Mac Jones was really good, and breaking down the tape and looking at his reach, really good. He shined against the blitz looks. He didn't crumble like a lot of young guys, in particular, a lot of veterans. He made good decisions. He got the ball out quickly. He's very, very good. Very, very good in that area. No doubt he's the most ready. No doubt he's playing the best. He's also I don't know that the overall team is better than San Francisco, but certainly the Bears and the Jets are not as good as New England, in my view. So he's got a good team around him, and he's well coached, and I think those things are helping him out a lot. It was not – he didn't get much help in the run game, so he kind of put the game on its back. I thought they did a good job spreading the ball around to Myers and Bourne and Aguilar, Henry and Jonnu Smith. The offensive line shuffled around quite a bit. Owusu was benched after 3 lost reps in pass pro and 2 holding penalties. Right tackle, they put Herron and Yashir Durant. Both were pretty effective, but probably not good enough. Isaiah Wynn, David Andrews, and Shaq Mason were the only 3 guys to really grade well of the guys that played the entire game. Matthew Judon was the only notable performer in the pass rush for them. Christian Barmore played a lot, played pretty well. Kyle Van Noy did not play his normal self there. I thought J.C. Jackson did a really good job shadowing Mike Evans. I thought a good performance by New England. You know, the record got to build themselves out of a hole, no doubt. But I was really impressed with what they were able to get done against Brady in that offense. And what Mac Jones has done, very, you know, it's in this league, it's just about wins and losses, but I see some positives to build on there. We'll see how they take it from here. Seattle and San Francisco was, look, Seattle held on for a victory. In San Francisco, with the injuries, Russell Wilson was responsible for 3 touchdowns. He picked apart San Francisco's defense. So it's a big win to get done, and you wonder where things are going to go. Seattle kind of is a drive-you-crazy type of team. They're really, really good for stretches, but, boy, they blow leads and play in stretches where they just look like a team that's lost or they go into lapses. You know, Russell is special and can be special and take over games, and DK Metcalf is outstanding. I thought the offensive line was particularly good in the passing game this week. You know, the defensive line allowed 5.9 yards a carry. I thought they were more effective against the pass. They had 20 pressures, 2 converted into sacks. Bobby Wagner continues to play great ball for them. You know, I thought they had some blown coverages, but they made some big plays. Jamal Adams is doing a really good job for them. For San Francisco, of course, maybe the story, at least the storyline, was Trey Lance getting into the game due to the calf injury by Garoppolo. You know, they're right now certainly better with Garoppolo pushing the ball down the field. With a full game plan, I'm curious to see what they do with Lance and how they deal with it. It's obviously going to be about the running game, and I think they'll move the pocket. I think those things they're going to work on. I'm curious to see the game plan this week. Trey Sermon performed very well for him at running back. Deebo Samuel was once again the key guy, the difficult guy to coverage. I thought the offensive line did a really good job and gave their backs 1.5, 1.6 yards before contact. It was really, really good. I thought the defensive line held Seahawks rushers in check. They really did a good job. They couldn't get much of anything before contact. They were not good at getting off the ball rushing the quarterback. Just 11 pressures. Bosa had 5 of those pressures. But their pass rush just wasn't consistent, wasn't enough to get anything done there. Warner and Algier, I thought, were really good at the second level. Playing near the line of scrimmage with their run fits was very good. The secondary, I thought, held up well against, you know, for the most part, the constant pressure of Wilson throwing it. They had 10 targets. They gave up 5 of those. Overall, pretty solid performance there. A little short-handed. 2 good teams that certainly have a playoff caliber roster, and I think that's playing well enough. It's going to be fun in the NFC West all year long, just like in the AFC. The West is where it's at in the NFL, I can tell you this year, at least the way it looks through a quarter of the season. Green Bay and Pittsburgh. Pack had a they rushed the ball very well. Aaron Rodgers had 2 touchdown passes to Randall Cobb, 3-1. Steelers 1-3. Rodgers was not the dynamic Rodgers. It was more of a precision, 55% of the pass, not just nondescript, more of a run the football, creatively getting some big plays when they needed to. A.J. Dillon, I thought, did a good job. He forced 4 or 5 missed tackles, ran for 5 first downs, did a really nice job. Davante Adams caught 4 or 5 targets, did a really good job. The offensive line allowed 9 pressures, 6 hurries, 2 sacks against a really good defensive front for the Steelers, no doubt. But they were able to run the football, and that was the key. Is watching the game is we're going to slow down the pass rush by running right at it, and they did pretty effectively. They defensively, they notched 9 pressures. Rashawn Gary led the charge. Owen Burks, I thought, did a good job. Jair Alexander, Eric Stokes did a good job on the boundary. Pittsburgh, it's just, I know there's a hip injury. It's just there's nothing there in the passing game. It's just they can't do anything other than the very short variety. They are an easy team to defend. They're an easy offense to defend, and only bad teams will struggle. Just, it because you're not real effective throwing the football downfield, you're facing so many compressed defenses, it's going to be hard to run. I thought Najee Harris, he had like 4.3 yards a carry and 2 explosive runs. It's pretty doggone impressive, all things considered, how they're playing defensively against this group. Deontay Johnson hauled in 9 catches, made 2 explosive plays. He picked up 5 first downs. They've got some playmakers. It's just, can they push the ball down the field? They can at this point. They gave up 2 sacks, 6 total pressures. They didn't run block very well up front. Most of those yards were done by Najee Harris with his creation. Defensive line, Hayward was pretty effective. Schobert, White were fairly effective. Joe Hayden did not grade very well. Minkah Fitzpatrick wasn't one of his better days. Steelers are, there's some things to like, but overall, it's going to be tough for them to make the playoffs. Not impossible, but very, very difficult. I'm going to have to see a massive turnaround on offense that I'm just not seeing right now. Baltimore, Denver. Denver gets their loss, and Baltimore took care of business. Lamar Jackson had to carry the offense again, but he was effective as a passer. Controversial, keeping their 100-yard streak alive, rushing it, whatever. That's what they do, and it's what they believe in. Tyson Williams with a healthy scratch. Tavis Murray, Devontae Freeman, Le'Veon Bell, Murray. They run the football. They work the run design as good as anybody. Marquise Brown made a couple of spectacular catch in the end zone. Split the safeties, particularly Justin Simmons, very good safety. Did a good job on him on one play. Offensive line is dealing with problems and injuries. Villanueva went down late in the game. He's been pass blocking well. There's just not a whole lot there. They're having to run it, have to run some with tempo. They're really struggling pass protection, and they utilize the mobility of the quarterback to cover up with some of it. Calais Campbell was the best player on their defensive line. Solid against the run. I thought he did a pretty good job with the pass rush for the most part. Patrick Queen struggled again. And they put Josh Bynes in. He had 1 defensive stop. The secondary, Anthony Averett, a lot's been put on him without Peters, and it's been a mixed bag with him. For Denver, Bridgewater was struggling more in this game than the first 3 games. And we discussed that the NFL season is a grind because eventually you're going to play enough good teams to really see what you are and what you are not. And yeah, there are teams that just are better than others. And Denver's just played a better competition, a better defense, and Bridgewater wasn't nearly as effective. He was in concussion protocol. Looks like Drew Lock's going to get the start going forward. We'll see how well he can do. I think Melvin Gordon and Javonte Williams continue to split the workload effectively for them. Noah Fant scored the only touchdown for him and led the team with 10 targets. All 5 members of the offensive line played every snap of the game, but none were all that effective against the Ravens front. I thought Miners and Cushenberry were the best of the group in pass protection. 7 different players played 15 snaps on the defensive line to try to defend Lamar Jackson and chase him. That's what you normally have to do against him. Alexander Johnson and Justin Sternad were the only linebackers to play any snaps of note. The secondary has been a strength, but they really did not play well in this game. And the Ravens took advantage of it. The Cardinals, impressive win over the Rams. You had a feeling the Rams, and it's nothing against the Cardinals here, but boy, the Rams played that game against Tampa last week like it was a playoff game, like it was a confidence booster that they needed to have it. And it just, Cardinals played well. Rams just didn't match the intensity. Kyler Murray continues to be outstanding. Not turning it over and making big plays. Good combination. Connor and Edmonds are getting their fair share of touches at running back. I think the receivers are playing well. Hopkins and Green and Williams all finished with really good numbers and really good productivity. I thought the offensive line held off one of the better defensive lines in the league. Just 10 pressures. Now, Murray was sacked 3 times. And Josh Jones was kind of the major problem there on that side. I thought defensively, the Cardinals' pass rush failed to sack Stafford, but created enough pressure to force some overthrown passes and 1 pick. And they generated, J.J. Watt's playing pretty well. Jordan Hicks finished second in tackles and played pretty well. Byron Murphy picked off Stafford. Alford and Marco Wilson's played well. For the Rams, coming off that win last week, Stafford came out flat against this Cardinal defense. Pass rush wasn't even getting there, and yet he only attempted 9 passes under duress, and he still wasn't able to get into a rhythm. So Henderson received the bulk of the carries in the run game. Cooper Kupp was targeted 13 times, but only had 5 passes hauled in. That was the difference. Van Jefferson was the most effective receiver for the Rams. He caught all 6 targets. The Rams' offensive line, I thought, played well. Kept a clean pocket for most of the game. In the run game, they created some run lanes for Henderson. He averaged 4.3 yards per contact, before contact per attempt. That's pretty good there. The defensive line wasn't real effective against the Cardinals to take the only 13 pressures. So good job, but by the Cardinals, not as good there. Leonard Floyd was the only effective pass rusher. Aaron Donald was shut out, really. I created 2 pressures and don't know of any problems there, but he just didn't perform well in this game. Maybe there's something there. Kenny Young played most of the snaps of any linebacker. Secondary was unable to contain the receivers. Interesting game, but good performance by the Cardinals. The Giants and the Saints. Giants scored 11 unanswered points. Look, for the Giants, I thought Daniel Jones played well. Thought he was very efficient. He got the ball down the field more effectively than he normally do. Saquon Barkley had a really good game, really made some big plays. I thought Kenny Golladay played very well for him. John Ross made a couple of plays. The offensive line play was not very good. I thought Andrew Thomas was the only one that graded out well. Dexter Lawrence and Leonard Williams were really effective. They generated pressure, did a good job. Lorenzo Carter recorded a tackle, 3 assists, 2 hurries. Tate Crowder and Reggie Ragland did not play well at linebacker. The secondary was the most impressive unit grade-wise out of this. From a run defensive standpoint, I thought Xavier McKinney did a pretty good job. Good job by the Giants getting it done. For the Saints, Winston looked efficient for the most part, but look, he didn't turn the football over, which is the focus, because that'll kill you. But there's a lot of misplays out there that Winston is not seeing. Taysom Hill made a couple of plays. I thought, Kamara ran well, but they don't have much else from the running game outside of him, but he got enough carries. I thought Callaway and Harris and Montgomery did a pretty nice job. I thought Ramczyk graded well on the offensive line, but it wasn't as good of a unit. Now, the offensive line is not going to grade out as well because Drew Brees got the ball out quickly. Jameis will hold it longer, and, so the grades won't be as good. But no one really played well up front against that Giants defensive line, which is not great, but the interior guys really did a number on the Saints. Ramczyk graded out well. No one else did. I thought Cam Jordan played fairly well. Huggins and Capuson and Tuttle were okay. I thought Pete Werner was really good for the Saints in the positive. I thought he did a good job. The corner play was really poor. Adebo did not play well. Lattimore was average. When I looked at him overall, I felt like as the breakdown was, there were some issues defensively that allowed the Giants to make some plays and become confident. But the Saints didn't help offensively either. There were chances to put the game away, and they never could. And I think that's one of the issues that what you're going to see with the Saints is any game. And I know if you're a Saints fan, you're probably thinking, God, let me figure this out. We can't beat, Panthers are pretty good, but man, we dominate the Packers. We get dominated by the Panthers. We beat the Patriots. Now we lose to the Giants. What is going on? I think that's what you're going to get. I think you're going to get a lot of inconsistency. I think you're going to have to get more consistent play from the defense. You're going to have to get more consistent play from the offensive line. You're going to have more protection and more opportunities for Jameis Winston to get the ball out quickly and make plays, because I think there are negative plays that are more likely with Winston in the game, meaning you can still avoid the turnovers, but you may miss opportunities in the passing game to keep drives alive. And that's what I'm seeing, and that's why I think it's going to be a little bit of a hair-pulling type year, because I think the Saints, they're never out. They're never out of a game, putting it away, or they're capable of beating a lot of people, but they're capable of losing to just about anybody. The Titans had a very uninspired performance against the Jets. Great job by the Jets, though. Tennessee, Tannehill was very mediocre in the first half. Henry is just so good. Derrick Henry's just so good. I mean, he was everything for him again. The receiving core has still been banged up. That hasn't really changed. The offensive line struggled in pass protection. Tannehill was sacked 7 times. Nate Davis and Quisenberry did not grade out well. They got home. The defensive line got home on Wilson only twice. So managed 18 pressures, 16 hurries, but I thought Wilson did a good job. More on that in a second. Rashaan Evans led the linebacking core. Christian Fulton did the best job in the secondary. I thought it was a good performance all around by Wilson for the Jets. I thought he did a good job. Michael Carter really starting to settle in. More reps at running back. There's a chance that it could develop into something there. Corey Davis played well going up against his old team. I thought the offensive line did a pretty good job. I thought the defensive line was outstanding against Tannehill. Mosley and Quincy Williams led the way on that side. The Chiefs and the Eagles. The big thing with Kansas City is don't turn the football over as much. Mahomes didn't have a lot of space to take shots downfield. So I thought they did a good job with the run game than they have before. Protecting the football was the theme of the week, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire did a good job of that. I thought, keeping the Kelce's and the Tyreek Hills of the world in check is very, very difficult. The RPO game was tough for them to handle, and the Eagles couldn't do it. I didn't think Orlando Brown played all that well, but everybody else did on the offensive line. Chris Jones was outstanding on the defensive line. Linebacker play was not good. Mike Hughes struggled against Devontae Smith. For the Eagles, you can't have Jalen Hurts throwing it 30, 40, 50 times a game. That has no chance of being successful. So that was the biggest issue there. Devontae Smith is really the only bright spot for the offense. When you drop back a lot and you're pass only, you're going to surrender some pressures. They did. I thought Derek Barnett was the only guy up front playing particularly well. Just an overmatched performance and a cleaner performance by Kansas City. The Texans were awful. The Bills were really good. The Bills, Josh Allen threw an ugly interception off play action, but for the most part was really good, really clean, playing well. Singletary ran the ball well. Stephon Diggs is playing well for him. Mitch Morse, I thought did a really good job at center for them in particular. Ed Oliver and Jerry Hughes are playing well on the defensive front. I think Tremaine Edmonds is playing well at linebacker. Davis Mills has had a hard time against his secondary. Bad day for Mills. Johnson was the only chance of them getting anything done. He forced a missed tackle or two, but just not anything. 5 carries on 21 yards, just couldn't get anything done. I thought Brandon Cooks was the closest thing to a decent performance at receiver for them. I thought Marcus Cannon was the only guy that graded very decently in this game. So it's a real issue. The Browns kind of outlasted Minnesota. It was a really good defensive effort, and I do think that the Vikings are somewhat limited. For Cleveland, Cousins completed all 6 of his opening drive attempts for 59 yards, I believe it was, and a 12-yard touchdown pass. It's short-lived. He short-lived, struggled the rest of the way. He only was able to push the ball downfield an average of 5.7 yards. And he kind of became risky with the ball, taking some chances. Dalvin Cook was not real effective. He had only 35 rushing yards on 9 carries. Justin Jefferson reeled in 7 yards. I thought he was effective in some third down, chain-moving situations. I didn't think the Vikings' offensive line, I thought they did a poor job in the run game. I thought the defensive line was effective with this pass rush. Didn't do much to contain the running game of the Browns, though. That was the difference. The linebackers did not play well against the run. The secondary probably played better than anybody there. For the Browns, Baker Mayfield's getting some criticism, and look, some of it's warranted, but look, they're trying to push the ball, work the ball downfield. Average 11.5 yards, an average downfield, but it's only 4.7 yards attempt. And that's, they've got to get a little bit better and a little bit more proficient at getting the ball to the playmakers. the running game was really effective. Can't live off that alone. They've got to make people pay for that. Beckham and Higgins, had 7 targets. I thought the run blocking was really good. I thought the pass protection, not so much. Myles Garrett is playing great, played well again. Thought the linebackers did a really good job as well. I thought the first possession, the secondary looked really weak, but they made some really good adjustments, and I thought they did a good job for the most part. Washington, we talked a little bit about them. Roller coaster day for Tyler Heinicke. J.D. McKissick did a really nice job, really good finish there. Antonio Gibson did the majority of the heavy lifting, but McKissick's play was pivotal. Terry McLaurin's still really good. I thought the offensive line did a good job in pass protection. Defensively, I thought Jonathan Allen played really well, but the rest of the unit was not real effective. John Bostic struggling in coverage at linebacker, and I think that's what a lot of people are doing. They're really working the passing game against him. But it was enough against Atlanta. Atlanta should have won this game. I mean, I say should have. They had every chance to do it. Matt Ryan looked really good. He had multiple deep balls, big-time throws, nothing from the running game. There's nothing at running back there. Mike Davis is just not getting anything done. It was a really good day for Cordarrelle Patterson. The offensive line, they don't have difference makers at running back, and the offensive line is not creating holes. So it's really tough to watch this Falcon team. It's like a broken record. They're not able to affect the opposing quarterback enough on the defensive side. Deion Jones is still a player, but, McKissick made a play on him. It was just it's a game they absolutely could have won and didn't get it done. David Montgomery's injury doesn't look as severe as it potentially did for the Bears. They got it done against the Lions, but getting him back is key. Such a good back, such a pivotal part of what they're trying to do. I thought Justin Fields had a few big plays and only 1 turnover. Thought connecting with Mooney was real positive. I thought the offensive line did a good job for Montgomery. Defense is still pretty good. 4 sacks, did a good job against the line. Ogletree played well. I gave up a couple of second-half scores, but I thought they did a nice job. Goff was not as effective. He was sacked 4 times, and a lot of the numbers were garbage time numbers. Jamal Williams really ran the football pretty well on 14 attempts. Khalif Raymond snagged a couple of touchdown catches. So, but not quite enough. Impressed with what I'm seeing with Dallas. Now, Dallas, Prescott's firing on all cylinders. They couldn't run the football. Dallas couldn't run the football on Carolina. But I thought Zeke kept some drives alive. And, over the first 3 games, really, the Panthers have not allowed anything. Zeke really got it going. He kept drives alive. He ended up with 143 yards and a touchdown. To run the football as well as they did against Carolina was really impressive. So that was the real difference, and we have not seen teams do that to Carolina to this point. Thought Dallas won this game offensively up front at the line of scrimmage. I thought the Cowboys defensively took advantage of the Panthers' injury-prone offensive line that's struggling there. Thought Micah Parsons playing well in the pass rush role. Carolina's got to get healthy. Dallas is playing really well. Dolphins struggled. The Colts get a win. I guess everybody's still alive in the AFC South with no one playing well. I thought Wentz did a good job even when pressured in the game. So we'll see how this develops there. Taylor ran the football well for him. Pittman was the main target. They miss Quentin Nelson. They need to get him back. Defensively play better. The Dolphins it's getting rough. Brissett had a rough outing, 4 turnovers. Malcolm Brown was the team's leading rusher there. Devontae Parker was targeted on the team with the nine times, but they're just not getting enough out of this passing game. And of course, going back to Cincinnati Jacksonville, as I said, I thought Trevor Lawrence did some good things. Thought Joe Burrow did a great job. Really good performances there. So that's kind of a look team by team. We'll get to your questions in the mailbag segment in just a little bit. Players of the week, game balls of the week. I thought Joe Burrow did a really good job. I thought Dak Prescott did a really good job. Austin Eckler, Tyreek Hill. I thought Mooney of the Bears did a really good job. I thought Uzuma of the Bengals did a good job. Cordell Patterson did a good job. I thought on the offensive line, thought Saffold in a loss did a good job. Williams with Cincinnati on Thursday night. Kelsey in Philadelphia against that front of Green Bay. Zach Martin was good. And as I mentioned, I thought Ramczyk was the only guy that played well for the Saints, but he was really good. Jonathan Allen was good. Wilkins did a good job for Miami. Shaq Barrett was good for the Bucs. Joey Bosa for the Chargers on Monday night. Tremaine Edmonds. Greedy Williams played well at corner for the Browns. Ross Cockrell for the Bucs, as well as Anton Winfield. Eric Harris at safety for the Falcons. I would say Tyreek Hill, Dak Prescott, offensive player, top grade. Jonathan Allen was really good on defense. Creed Humphrey's playing pretty well for the Chiefs, by the way. So those are some of my thoughts there. Let's get into the mailbag segment and see what's in your mind. How was Henry Ruggs graded as a route runner coming out of school? He's on unbelievable straight vertical threat, but it seems that he's only one way he gets open. No, it's he's actually a very proficient route runner, but they really work. The faster guys are, the harder is it for him to cut. He's actually a pretty good route runner, but that's definitely the vertical route is his strength. Tony says, not sure if you covered this already. Do you feel Mayfield took a step back? I wasn't able to watch the game, just reading about it. No, I just think, as I said, they need to work the field down a little bit more. San Francisco defense came out fine, but I thought on fire, but I thought Seattle calmed the game down by running Carson between the tackles. Well, I think that was part of it. I think the Russell Wilson, too, began to really attack him in the passing game. Tony, have you seen the Browns defense improve each week? They certainly have played well the last couple of weeks. Jeff, what's wrong with the Saints who have a chance to make the playoffs? Yes, I'm talking playoffs, Coach Mora. Look, I think it's going to be tough. Consistency is not going to be what we're going to see out of the Saints, I don't think. I think it's a borderline. I wouldn't rule it out, but I think it's going to be tough. The start's not what you want. And losing a game like against the Giants is not what you need if you're going to make the playoffs. The Rams' defensive game plan was great if they were playing Tom Brady. Murray break contained a lot. Well, they did, but then they got 3 sacks. But you're right, though. Murray played well. That's a tough game plan, no doubt about it. I thought Detroit did a good job moving the ball against the Bears defense, completely fell apart in the red zone. Well, they did the same thing against the Packers. They really struggled there. And I don't think you trust enough in the run game, and I think that's a problem where Jared Goff becomes a little bit of an issue there. Big games this week. The profile games that remember, we break down every game inside the film room. We're going to break down the Thursday night game, the Rams in Seattle. We'll have that up tomorrow. Certainly we'll have the Sunday night game, Buffalo, Kansas City, big one. We'll do the Monday night game, Colts in Baltimore. We're going to focus on those. I do think I'm going to do a special one on perhaps San Francisco and Arizona and Cleveland, the Chargers. But we're going to have all of the games broken down for you inside the film room, which is why you want to go and make sure that you check out LandryFootball.com. Take advantage of the football season sale. I think that that's a great value, great opportunity to get really involved in what's going on inside the NFL, inside college football, all the game breakdowns. We got it for you. So we appreciate you joining us. Reminder, sign up for the Landry Football Podcast channel and sign up on Twitch. Go to LandryFootball.com, follow Chris on Twitch, sign up for the Twitch channel, hit the heart button, like us, and we appreciate you. We will be back tomorrow, big day tomorrow. We got we do Pac-12 and Big 12 at noon and 1 o'clock. Got a little Alabama football with Ryan Fowler at 3, and then we'll do something on the Landry Football Podcast at the same time, actually 5 o'clock tomorrow evening. So check us out then. Appreciate everybody, Jeff and Kev and Tony and Rich and Jake joining us. Nola Jack, all of you joining us inside the chat room. Appreciate it. You guys are the best. Take care. Have a great evening. Talk to you tomorrow, everybody.